The chandelier above them shimmered like a smug witness to the lie of their marriage. Elena Morgan stood beside Marcus, smiling like her life depended on it. In a way, it did. The country club's banquet hall was overflowing with Charlotte's elite. Marcus's business partners, old college friends from Duke, his new tech investors, and a few local politicians he was grooming for favors. All raising their glasses to him. To Marcus, someone cheered. The man who built it all from nothing. Elena's smile faltered for just a second. From nothing? Try from her family's early investment and her quiet, strategic advice on the couch at 2 a.m. every night for 5 years. But sure, let them believe it. She clutched her champagne flute a little tighter. Marcus, in his tailored navy suit and power-laced smirk, took the mic. Thank you, everyone. I'm honored. When I started Morgan Tech, I had a vision. No handouts, no shortcuts, just good instincts, hard work. And a patient wife, someone added with a chuckle. The crowd laughed. Marcus didn't. Yes, Elena's been there, he said flatly, not even glancing her way, though mostly staying out of the way, thankfully. I always say a smart man needs to make sure his wife doesn't get too many ideas. Another round of laughter. Louder this time. Elena blinked. Heat rushed to her ears, but she didn't move. Not yet. Marcus looked right at her then, cold, calculating. Let's be honest, not everyone's meant to lead. Some people are just meant to support. Some people stay in the passenger seat. He turned back to the crowd. And that's fine, as long as they know their place. The glass in her hand didn't shatter, but she wished it had. There it was, the slap in the face, in front of everyone. He'd done it, said it out loud, what he'd implied for years, that she was nothing more than an accessory to his success, that she was small, replaceable. Her father, seated at the back, saw her expression and started to rise. But Elena gave the faintest shake of her head. Not yet. She let them laugh, let them clink glasses, let Marcus bask in the light he thought he created. But she wasn't staying. By morning she was gone. Not the kind of storm-out, bag-in-hand exit that Marcus could spin into some dramatic overreaction. No. Elena played it cleaner than that. She woke before sunrise, showered in silence, and dressed in a crisp, black jumpsuit that made her feel sharp. Alive. She left her wedding ring on the nightstand, beside a framed photo of their engagement that had never made her smile. She didn't take a single bag. What she did take were the keys to the 1967 cherry red Ferrari 275 GTB he kept under lock and key in their private garage. The one he babied more than their marriage. The one he didn't know she owned, purchased through a shadow LLC she had set up using money from an inheritance Marcus never even asked about, because in his mind, she was too simple to handle finances. The engine purred when she turned the key. Not a roar, a whisper, like it knew this was a getaway. She drove through uptown Charlotte like a ghost, past the high-rise she helped him pick for his new headquarters, past the bakery where they used to pretend to be in love, past the house where her sister used to live before Marcus suggested she cut off ties with toxic family. She felt nothing, until she pulled into the parking lot of the Summit View Hotel, where someone was already waiting. Nice car, he said, leaning against his black BMW. Elena stepped out of the Ferrari like she'd just stepped onto a new planet. You said you had something for me. Caleb Rios, high school ex, now venture capitalist. And Marcus's new business partner, though Marcus still didn't know about their past. Oh, I've got something, Caleb said, tossing a manila folder on the hood. Took me 2 weeks to confirm it. Your husband didn't just build Morgan Tech. Half the IP in his pitch deck? Pulled from an old patent file with your name on it. Elena's stomach dropped. She'd designed those interface ideas back when they were newlyweds. On napkins, old notebooks, even a shared laptop. She'd forgotten. He hadn't. He's launching his next big project in 2 weeks, Caleb added. Want to burn it down before he gets there? She didn't smile. Not yet, but she took the folder. Back at the mansion, Marcus awoke alone. Her ring sat on the nightstand. The Ferrari was gone. So was his wife. He called her. No answer. He called his assistant. Check the garage cameras. A pause. There's nothing on the feed, she said. It's been wiped. His stomach turned. Elena doesn't even know how to. But he stopped mid-sentence. Because maybe he'd underestimated her. Again. And this time she wasn't coming back. Marcus Morgan wasn't used to silence. Not in the house, not in his inbox, not in his life. Yet that's all he heard the morning after Elena left. The house, normally humming with her routine, was still. No coffee brewing, no soft footsteps, no faint hum of her voice on the phone with her sister. Nothing but the ticking of the grandfather clock she once called pretentious. The Ferrari being gone was one thing, but Elena? She had never left before, not without a plan, not without telling someone. His assistant, Gina, couldn't reach her. Neither could her old best friend Mia, who Marcus had subtly encouraged her to cut off years ago. Not that he would admit that aloud. Marcus pulled out his phone and tried Elena again, straight to voicemail. He paced the kitchen, pouring himself a black coffee with a shaking hand. This wasn't like her, unless she wasn't his Elena anymore. At the same time, Elena sat across from her younger brother, Noah Sullivan, in a downtown diner that smelled like grease and cinnamon rolls. He was in gym shorts, still sweating from his morning shift as a personal trainer, looking at her like she'd just told him she was joining the CIA. "You're what?" he whispered, leaning across the booth. "You left Marcus and stole his Ferrari? Are you trying to get arrested?" "I didn't steal anything," she said calmly, stirring her tea. "The car is mine. Bought it with Grandma Ida's trust fund. Quietly? Legally? Months ago." Noah blinked. "You were that quiet? Not even a clue?" "Damn, Lena. I was waiting, watching, timing it right. And now is right because..." She slid the manila folder Caleb had given her across the table. Noah flipped it open and swore under his breath. Schematics, emails, patent documents, Elena's early designs for an interface Marcus had called his own. There were even old sticky notes with her handwriting. "He stole your work. Used it as the foundation for his next launch. Called it Morgan OS. Never mentioned me once." Noah sat back, stunned. "So what's the plan?" Elena's voice dropped low. "I'm going to dismantle everything he built, not with rage, with facts, with strategy, with precision." "You sound like Mom," she smirked. "Then I'm on the right track." Later that afternoon, Marcus drove his black Escalade through South Charlotte, toward the gated neighborhood where Elena's parents lived. He hadn't visited in months, not since their last family barbecue ended, with her father telling him to watch how he speaks to her in public. But he was desperate. When Martha Sullivan opened the door, she looked him up and down like she was evaluating whether to shoot him or slam the door. "Elena's not here," she said before he could speak. "I need to see her." "She doesn't want to see you." "I think you should let her decide that." Martha sighed, stepping out onto the porch. "You humiliated her, Marcus. In front of everyone. She's done playing supportive wife while you build a kingdom on her ideas and erase her name from the foundation. She never said any of that. She never got the chance. You interrupted her every time she spoke." He opened his mouth, but Martha wasn't finished. "She's not the scared, quiet girl you married anymore. And you're not nearly as smart as you think." Then she handed him a white envelope. "Elena wanted you to have this." He opened it as she closed the door in his face. Inside, a notarized copy of the car's title. Her name on the ownership line. Clear as day. That evening, Elena stood in front of a mirror in her hotel room, staring at herself. Not the wife version. Not the silent partner. Just her. She'd gotten used to disappearing in plain sight, wearing soft colors, listening more than she spoke, always making herself smaller so Marcus could seem larger. But not anymore. There was a knock at the door. Caleb stood in the hallway with a thin laptop and a subtle smirk. "I just got something you'll want to see." She let him in. He opened the laptop to a folder marked, "Confidential. Marcus has been laundering investor funds, funneling money from Morgan Tech into shell companies registered in the Caymans." She blinked. "Are you sure?" He nodded. His partner, Victor Langley, slipped. He was bragging about a rainy day fund to someone at the firm. I dug deeper. Elena stared at the screen. If this got out, Marcus wouldn't just lose his company, he could face prison. She took a deep breath. "I don't want to destroy him," she said softly. Caleb looked at her. "You sure about that?" "I want the truth to destroy him," she corrected. "Not me." Meanwhile, back at the mansion, Marcus made a call to a private investigator, a man named Reed Holloway. "I need you to find my wife," Marcus said, his voice tight. "Ex-wife?" Reed asked. Marcus froze. "What did you just say?" "Just heard through court filings. Her lawyer filed the divorce papers this morning." Marcus's hand clenched around the phone. "Find her," he hissed, "and find out who she's working with." He hung up and stared out at the driveway where the Ferrari used to sit. It wasn't about the car. It was about losing control. And Marcus Morgan did not lose. Not without a fight. Elena had never told anyone about the cabin. Tucked deep in the Blue Ridge Mountains, it was her grandmother's hidden getaway, an unlisted property left out of the trust documents Marcus had seen. Elena had found it by accident as a teenager, written on the back of an old birthday card in Ida's loopy cursive. "For when you need to disappear, not be rescued." She smiled as she pulled the Ferrari into the gravel path leading to the cabin. It was rustic but clean, cozy, and hers, off-grid. No cameras, no signal, no Marcus. Finally, some air. She'd been here less than an hour when her brother Noah showed up, winded, holding a bag of takeout from their favorite taco spot. "You're harder to find than a Wi-Fi signal in a swamp," he muttered, stepping inside. "Good," Elena said, taking the food. "You sure this is safe?" "I passed a guy in a Jeep 2 miles back. Blacked out windows. Probably just a hiker." Noah didn't look convinced. "Or Marcus sent someone," he said. "You know he's capable of that." "He already has a private investigator digging," she said, unwrapping a taco. "I'm counting on it. Let him waste his time chasing me while I chase the truth." Noah dropped onto the couch. "You always were 3 steps ahead." She paused mid-bite. "Not always." Back in Charlotte, Marcus was making his own moves. Reed Holloway, the PI, stood in his office with a tablet full of documents and a twisted smirk. "You're not gonna like this," Reed warned. "Your wife's been busy." He handed Marcus a photo, Elena and Caleb Rios, mid-laugh outside the Summit View Hotel. "Caleb? That Caleb?" She said they barely kept in touch. "They did," Reed said, "until 6 months ago. Then your wife made several visits to his office, always under an alias. She's been planning this exit for longer than you think." Marcus's mouth tightened. "And it gets worse." Reed handed him another document, a certificate of incorporation. Lena S. Holdings, LLC. Quietly filed in Delaware under Elena's name. Active for over 3 years. "She's been buying up pieces of your supply chain through dummy companies," Reed added. "Everything from software vendors to distribution centers. Nothing major on its own. But together?" Marcus stared at the papers. "She owns the bones of my company." At the cabin, Noah scrolled through the folder Caleb had given them. Then he paused. "Hold up. This email. This isn't just about Marcus stealing your work. It mentions a design sketch I remember seeing in Dad's old stuff." Elena frowned. "What do you mean? You remember Dad's side project, right?" that biometric tech idea he was developing before his accident? He never finished it, but he showed it to Marcus at the funeral. I was there. Her stomach dropped. You think Marcus copied that too? I think he stole it, Noah said, and if that's true, it wasn't just you he took from. It was Dad. Elena stood, blood boiling. Her father, Frank Sullivan, was an engineer before the stroke that left him partially paralyzed. After the accident, Marcus had become distant from Frank, often calling him a broken man living in the past. But Frank had trusted him, shared his sketches, his half-built ideas. And Marcus had turned around and passed them off as original innovations. Elena grabbed her phone and texted one person she hadn't spoken to in years. Mia, need a favor. Urgent. Involves my dad. Can we meet? 3 hours later, Elena met Mia at a quiet brewery outside Asheville. They hadn't spoken since Marcus convinced her that Mia was too jealous and toxic for your growth. Now Mia gave her a long look and a tight hug. You're wearing real clothes, Mia said dryly. Not pastel wife cardigans, I approve. Thanks. I need your help. Elena explained the documents, the stolen sketches, the possible link to her dad's old work. Mia, now a data archivist for a university lab, nodded. I have access to patent databases and IP archives. Give me a couple of names and dates. If Marcus filed anything with enough similarity to Frank's original notes, I'll find it. You're still doing this? Elena asked, surprised. After what your husband pulled, Mia said. I've been waiting for this moment. Meanwhile, Marcus wasn't done being petty. He'd invited Elena's estranged sister, Chelsea, to lunch. They hadn't spoken in years, not since Chelsea called Marcus a smirking narcissist with great hair and a hollow soul. But Chelsea was broke now, a failed yoga studio, a bad divorce, and a mountain of debt. Marcus knew she'd be hungry, for money, for revenge, for relevance. You really think I'll help you spy on my sister? She asked, sipping her wine. I think you'll take the offer, Marcus replied. 10 grand up front. Another 20 if you get me something actionable. Where she is, what she's planning, especially anything involving my company. Chelsea leaned back. She won't trust me. Make her, Marcus said. You've done it before. Chelsea raised an eyebrow. Marcus smiled. Let's not pretend loyalty's your strong suit. After a long pause, Chelsea pocketed the envelope. Fine. But when this blows up, I'm not the villain here. Marcus smirked. Sweetheart, no one's the hero in this story. Elena sat across from her sister Chelsea at a trendy Asheville cafe that smelled of sage and overpriced espresso, the same sister who hadn't so much as texted her in 3 years. You're really here? Elena asked, guarded. Chelsea offered a tight smile. You always said I only showed up when I needed something. So surprise. I don't. Just heard about the divorce and thought maybe it was time. Elena studied her carefully. The bleached blonde hair had grown out, the fake enthusiasm was back, and the tears she tried to summon weren't quite reaching her eyes. Still, part of her wanted to believe it. I'm rebuilding, Elena said, voice even. Chelsea reached for her hand. Good. You always deserved more than Marcus. I just didn't know how to say it back then. Elena didn't pull away. But something buzzed in her gut. That twitch she used to ignore. The same one that warned her not to trust Marcus too soon, not to trust Chelsea with her savings once upon a time, and definitely not to trust a sudden family reunion with perfect timing. Chelsea sipped her oat milk latte. So what happens now? You got some big master plan? Elena smiled faintly. I always have a plan. Across town, Mia stared at her laptop in stunned silence. There it was. The proof. Patent number 7849201B, filed under Marcus Morgan 3 years ago, 2 months after Elena's father had his stroke. The description matched the biometric access interface Frank Sullivan had sketched in a series of handwritten notebooks, notes Mia remembered seeing on his kitchen table back in college. But here's where it twisted. filed as a joint submission. Marcus Morgan and Victor Langley. The same Victor who'd always seemed like a minor player. A financier. Someone who smiled too wide and stayed too quiet. Mia's phone buzzed. A message from an anonymous number. If you value your job, stop digging. Consider this your only warning. Mia blinked. Someone was watching. She looked out her apartment window. A black SUV idled across the street. That same afternoon, Marcus stormed into Victor Langley's glass-walled office in downtown Charlotte. You filed my patent with your name on it? Victor didn't even blink. We filed it under our company. Standard procedure. You didn't read the fine print? I brought that tech in. I developed it. Victor leaned back, folding his arms. No, Marcus. You acquired it. There's a difference. And it was barely a napkin sketch when it landed on your desk. I'm the one who made it viable. You just sold it. Marcus froze. You mean, it's not protected? Victor raised an eyebrow. Oh, it's protected, but only if we stay aligned. If not, he smiled faintly. The whole tower falls. Marcus realized, in that moment, what Elena must have already figured out. Victor was no sidekick. He was the Shadow King. At the cabin, Noah returned from a trip to their father's nursing home with something Elena hadn't expected to see again, the original notebooks. Water-stained, dog-eared, but unmistakably her dad's. I had to charm 3 nurses and dig through an old shoebox, Noah said, tossing them on the coffee table. But they're all here. Elena flipped through them, her eyes catching on the signature sketches. Retinal scan layouts, voice command triggers, early thoughts on wearable ID. And a note scribbled in the margin. Show Marcus? Not sure, too eager. Keep backup elsewhere. She looked up. Backup? Noah shrugged. Could be the garage. Could be in Mom's attic. Knowing Dad? It's probably behind a fake panel in the bookshelf or something. Elena grabbed her keys. We're going to Mom's. Back at Elena's childhood home, her mother was folding laundry while watching a true crime show when the doorbell rang. It wasn't Elena. It wasn't Noah. It was Chelsea, with flowers. Thought I'd stop by. I've been thinking about Dad lately. Martha narrowed her eyes. You haven't asked about him in years. I know, I've made mistakes. I just want to help Elena now, if I can. Martha stepped aside reluctantly, letting her in. She's not here. I'll wait, Chelsea said, her eyes already scanning the house. This place hasn't changed a bit. As Martha turned to put the flowers in water, Chelsea quietly slipped down the hallway. She knew where Dad's old study was. And she definitely knew where he used to hide important things. 2 hours later, when Elena and Noah arrived, the first thing they saw was their mother pacing the porch with a half-panicked look. She was here, Martha said. Chelsea said she was visiting, but then she left, and so did one of your father's old notebooks. Elena's stomach sank. She took it. Meanwhile, Chelsea pulled up to Marcus's condo with a smug smile and a soft leather satchel. I have something you'll want, she said. Marcus opened the notebook, flipping through quickly, his jaw tightening with every page. You're a thief, he muttered. Chelsea raised an eyebrow. And you're surprised? He snapped the notebook shut. You'll get your money. Better than that, she said. I want in, a job, access, and a way to stay out of Elena's crosshairs. Marcus stared at her, then chuckled. You're nastier than you look, Chelsea winked. Takes one to know one. That night, Elena sat in the cabin staring at the wall. Chelsea took it, she whispered. Noah nodded. We'll get it back. But Elena was thinking deeper now. Not just about the patent or Marcus's company. She was thinking about her father's legacy, her own silence, the years she'd let herself be erased, and the fact that now, everyone thought they were playing her. Let them. Because Elena wasn't just going to fight back anymore. She was going to rewrite the entire game. 3 weeks after Elena left Marcus, The headlines hit the Charlotte business scene like a thunderclap. Ex-wife of tech CEO launches competing venture and takes half his supply chain with her. Charlotte Ledger front page. Elena's new company, Sullivan Dynamics, was unveiled in a sleek press conference at the Langston Hotel ballroom. Dressed in an emerald pantsuit and heels that clicked like clockwork on marble, she stepped up to the mic with all the poise of a woman who'd finally stopped asking for permission. "This isn't revenge," Elena said, smiling at the cameras. "This is reclamation." Behind her stood Caleb Rios, now officially listed as co-founder and CTO. He didn't say a word, but his presence said plenty. That old flame had become her new ally, and everyone was wondering how far back their connection truly went. Marcus nearly broke his television when the segment aired on CNBC. "She named the company after her father," he snapped to Victor Langley, pacing his penthouse. "She's playing the sympathy card." Victor sipped his drink, unimpressed. "Sympathy isn't the problem. You lost the board's confidence. Half our vendors are panicking. You're hemorrhaging credibility." "I made her," Marcus seethed. "She was nothing." Victor glanced at him. "Then it's poetic, isn't it? That nothing is taking everything." At the same time, Mia had finished decrypting a chain of emails between Marcus and a now-defunct tech startup he'd funded. One stuck out. From Marcus Morgan. "We bury this now, or we're both finished. The biometric data leak isn't traceable yet, but it will be. I need Langley to smother it at the patent office. You owe me." The date? Just 6 months before Elena left. Mia forwarded it to Elena with one line. "The tech wasn't just stolen, it's unsafe." Elena stared at her screen, pulse racing. If Marcus had buried a security breach, and if Sullivan Dynamics could prove it, she wouldn't just win the public over. She'd burn down his legacy. But before she could move, another betrayal hit her where she least expected it. That night, Elena received a call from her attorney. "Chelsea just filed a motion to freeze the inheritance trust your grandmother left you." "What?" Elena nearly dropped the phone. "She has no legal standing." "She's claiming undue influence," the lawyer said, "says your grandmother was mentally unfit when she changed the terms of the trust to leave it entirely to you. She wants half." Elena's mouth went dry. She was never close to Ida. She didn't even show up to the funeral. Doesn't matter. She found an opportunistic lawyer. It could tie up your funds for months, maybe longer. And she's working with Marcus. Elena muttered. It all made sense now. The sudden visit, the fake concern, the stolen notebook. Chelsea was hedging her bets. If Marcus lost, she'd make sure Elena lost too. Noah, standing nearby, shook his head. She's not just a traitor, she's desperate. Elena's jaw hardened. Then we make her regret betting against the wrong sister. The next day, Elena walked into Caleb's office at Sullivan Dynamics with her laptop and the leaked email in hand. I want to go public with this, she said. The breach, the data leak, everything. Caleb leaned back. We do that, Marcus could sue, claim you hacked his system. I didn't. Mia found it in a database cache. Caleb hesitated. Still, it's a risk. And? Elena's voice didn't waver. Every man in my life told me to play it safe. Look where that got me. He smiled. Then let's light the match. That night, Elena posted a statement to Sullivan Dynamics' official website, along with select redacted screenshots of the email. The technology Marcus Morgan built was never his. It was stolen, compromised, and dangerous. This is not personal, this is a warning. Within hours, it went viral. By morning, Marcus's company, Morgan Tech, was trending on X under hashtag stolen tech scandal. The SEC began poking around. Shareholders demanded answers. And just as Marcus stepped into a crisis board meeting, he received a call from Victor Langley. You should have told me, Victor hissed. I handled it. No. You hid it, And now I've got senators asking questions. You think I'm gonna let the ship sink with my name on it? The line went dead. 10 minutes later, the board voted to suspend Marcus as CEO, effective immediately. He was escorted from his own building with a cardboard box full of memories and a security guard who didn't even make eye contact. Elena watched the news unfold from her cabin, silent. Noah popped champagne. Mia screamed over the phone, but Elena? She didn't smile. Because she knew Marcus wouldn't go quietly. And Chelsea? She was already planning her next betrayal. But for now, the scales had tipped. And Elena, finally, was the one holding all the cards. Elena adjusted her collar in the mirror as she stepped into the towering glass atrium of the Charlotte Tech Convention Center. She wasn't just attending this year's Innovate Carolina Expo, she was the closing keynote speaker. It was the ultimate power move. Elena, the woman everyone had dismissed as the CEO's wife, now the face of an anti-establishment tech revolution. And across the city, Marcus Morgan was nowhere to be seen, officially exiled from his own empire. He hadn't given a single interview in over a week. The board had replaced him. His accounts were under audit. Even his prized Ferrari had been posted in a viral TikTok. Elena's intern accidentally uploaded. But victory, Elena was learning, had sharp edges. As she crossed the main floor of the convention, Caleb fell into step beside her. "Security's tight," he said. "Still no word from your sister?" "No." She went silent after the trust motion failed. "The judge threw it out yesterday." Caleb smirked. "Guess that fancy lawyer of hers wasn't as clever as she thought." But Elena didn't smile. "She's too quiet. Chelsea doesn't vanish, she waits." They reached the side stage. A producer with a headset waved Elena toward the prep area. "You're on in 20. Green room's to the left. You're trending again, by the way. Hashtag she built this." Elena ducked into the green room, sipping water and reviewing her speech. But then, something strange. The screen in front of her flickered. Then it blinked to a grainy video, surveillance footage. It showed a familiar face, Caleb, standing outside a private law office downtown. The timestamp? 3 weeks ago, the same day Chelsea had filed her lawsuit. In the video, Caleb handed over a manila envelope to Chelsea. She smiled, and Elena's world spun. She didn't hear the knock at the door, didn't feel the chill in her spine until it was too late. Chelsea strolled in like she owned the place. "Miss me?" she said, smug. Elena stood up. "What is this?" Chelsea tilted her head. "A reunion. You've been so busy, sis. Thought I'd help wrap things up." "I don't have time for your games." "Oh, you do now," Chelsea said, holding up her phone. "Because in 2 minutes, every outlet here will get an anonymous tip linking you to a data breach. Unless we talk." Elena's face hardened. "That's fabricated." "Nope. Just twisted. Like the footage of you installing Dad's beta code on Marcus's old prototype. I still had the files. Remember when I helped you clean out the garage?" Elena stepped closer. "That was his stolen work. You know that." Chelsea smiled. "Doesn't matter. You're the one in the spotlight now. And people don't care about facts. They care about drama. You win, you fall. And I've been waiting years to watch you fall." Before Elena could respond, Caleb entered behind her, eyes wide, guilty. "Elena, I can explain." She turned. "You were working with her." "Not exactly," he said quickly. "She reached out to me before the launch. Said she could kill Marcus's company if we let her in on Sullivan Dynamics. I didn't know she'd sabotage you." "Then what did you think she'd do?" Elena asked, voice low. Caleb looked trapped. "I thought she wanted redemption." "Then you're dumber than I thought," Chelsea laughed, still so dramatic. "You know, for someone who always had the upper hand, you sure picked some allies." Elena's phone buzzed. One new message. From Mia. Subject line: "Do not go on stage. You've been set up. Too late." The lights outside flashed. A producer opened the door. "You're up, Ms. Sullivan." Chelsea grinned. Break a leg. On stage, Elena took a deep breath. The spotlight was searing. The applause was thunderous, but she saw it. Phones out, live streams running, people waiting for a crash. Behind her, a screen flickered. Her slideshow had been hijacked. Instead of her opening slide, a video began playing, a manipulated clip showing her standing over Marcus's original prototype, pulling files, voiceover out of context. Chelsea's trap. The room gasped, but Elena didn't flinch. She stepped forward, raised her hand, and cut the feed. Literally, she unplugged the projector's HDMI cord from the panel with a loud click. The screen went black. She looked at the crowd. That footage? It's been doctored. The real story is worse. For them. Another buzz. Her phone again. Another email. This one, from a lawyer in California. With the subject line, R.E., your father's last will, urgent discovery. Elena stepped off the stage as murmurs swirled. Caleb tried to catch her arm. She shook him off. She opened the email. Attached was a PDF, an amendment her father had filed with an estate lawyer just before his stroke. A second patent. One no one had registered. One even Marcus and Victor had missed. The ownership? Sole beneficiary, Elena Sullivan. Filed 5 days before Marcus forged his own version. Her father had seen it coming. He'd protected her. Silently, subtly, perfectly. Elena exhaled, a storm rising behind her eyes. Chelsea thought she'd ended the game, but Elena was just flipping the board. 3 hours after the botched keynote, Elena sat in her cabin's study with Mia, the original patent displayed on a monitor glowing like a loaded gun. This changes everything, Mia breathed. It's not just a patent, Elena said, her voice tight. It's time-stamped. It's ironclad. It proves Dad developed the biometric interface before Marcus ever touched it. Before I ever shared it with him. And Chelsea's about to wish she stayed in high school theater, Elena muttered. This exposes her lawsuit, her fake claims. If I go public with this, then Marcus, Victor, and every investor who backed them goes down. Elena nodded. But the win tasted hollow. Caleb's betrayal still burned. She hadn't returned his texts. She didn't need excuses. She needed loyalty. As she forwarded the documents to her lawyer, a message popped up from an encrypted account. Meet me. Tonight. Before you use that patent. It's bigger than you think. V. Victor Langley. Elena's stomach turned. She hadn't heard from him directly since the board ousted Marcus. If Victor was reaching out now, it meant he was scared. Good. She typed only 2 words. Where? The abandoned drive-in theater sat on the edge of town, where the neons still buzzed, but the lot was cracked with weeds. Elena pulled up in the Ferrari, her statement car, and stepped into the fading light. Victor waited by the old concession stand, dressed too well for someone whose empire was crumbling. I thought we should talk privately, he said. Get to it. Victor looked her over. You look more like your father than ever. I'm not flattered, he sighed. You're smart. Too smart to think this patent is just about you and Marcus. It's my father's work, she snapped, and Marcus stole it. Victor's tone sharpened. He didn't steal it. I did. Elena froze. Victor took a slow step forward. Marcus was going to pass. He thought it was too risky. But I saw the potential. I pulled strings at the patent office, buried your father's name, paid off a guy in Palo Alto to ghostwrite a fake white paper for Marcus's version, all to get ahead of a deadline. Elena's hands curled into fists. You destroyed him, she whispered. No, Victor said. Your father wasn't supposed to die. When he had the stroke, we panicked. We never expected the estate lawyer to file the amendment anyway. But it's all there now. Too late to erase it. Elena stepped forward. Then why meet me? Because I'm offering you a deal. You don't take this to court. You sign a non-disclosure. We settle. Quietly. She laughed once, short, bitter. You think I'm here for money? Victor tilted his head. I think you want to win. You want power. I can still offer that. Be ruthless like your father. Let the past die. Own the future with me." "No," Elena said. "I'm done being underestimated." She turned and walked back toward her car. Victor's voice followed. "Then prepare for war. And watch your mirrors." Elena drove out onto the quiet highway, fury coursing through her veins. She didn't see the SUV until it was too late. It came out of nowhere, blinding headlights, roaring engine, slamming into the side of the Ferrari at 70 miles per hour. The world spun. Metal screamed. Glass exploded. And everything went black. She woke to the sound of beeping. Sterile air. Hospital lights. A neck brace. "Stay still," a nurse said. "You've got a concussion. Some bruised ribs. You're lucky." Elena blinked slowly. The car? Destroyed. But the other driver fled the scene. Hit and run. Noah burst into the room minutes later, eyes red, voice trembling. "Jesus, Elena. I thought." He stopped, grabbed her hand. "You're alive. That's all that matters." Mia followed behind him, clutching her tablet. "Elena," she said, "you have to see this." She pulled up a grainy security video from a traffic cam 3 blocks from the crash site. It showed the SUV slowing before impact. The driver's window was down. A woman's face visible. Chelsea. Elena's heart stopped. "She tried to kill me." Later that night, still aching in her hospital bed, Elena received one more visitor, one she hadn't seen since the funeral. A tall man stepped into the room, graying temples, a limp from an old injury, an eye so familiar she forgot to breathe. "Dad?" she choked out. He stepped forward, stunned too. "You got my message." "You're alive?" "I faked my death," he said, "because Victor and Marcus were going to ruin everything. I knew if I stayed, they'd destroy you too." Tears spilled down Elena's cheeks. "But how?" "I've been watching, waiting, for you to be ready." He took her hand. "And now, you are." The courtroom buzzed with anticipation as the judge called the case involving Marcus Morgan, Victor Langley, Chelsea Sullivan, and Elena Sullivan to order. Cameras crowded the hallways, the media circus swirled like a cyclone, feeding off every detail. Elena sat beside her father, Thomas Sullivan, steady and resolute, as her lawyer laid out the evidence. The original patent, the forged documents, the stolen ideas, the covert payments to silence whistleblowers, even the hit-and-run attempt. Marcus glared from the defendant's bench, defeated but dangerous. Victor's usual smugness was cracked, his eyes darting nervously. Chelsea sat silently, her bravado drained. The judge's gavel struck, and the room fell quiet. "Miss Sullivan," the judge began, "your evidence is compelling. But before we proceed, you indicated you have an additional exhibit?" Elena stood and reached into her briefcase. She pulled out a sleek black envelope, sealed with a simple silver monogram. "This," she said, "is the contract Victor Langley signed last year, binding him to a non-compete and full disclosure clause with my father's company." It was hidden in his personal files. A collective gasp echoed. Victor's face paled. "That contract was voided," he snarled. "By whom?" Elena asked, voice calm but cold. "The court?" She let the silence hang. Victor had no answer. The judge nodded slowly. "This changes the case significantly." Later, outside the courthouse, reporters bombarded Elena with questions. "How did you find the contract? What will you do now that Marcus is exposed? Is this the end of Morgantech?" Elena smiled, serene. "This isn't just the end," she said. "It's a new beginning." As the crowd pressed closer, a black SUV pulled up. The rear door opened, and Caleb stepped out, holding a stack of files. I have one more thing to add, he said, stepping toward Elena. Elena looked at him, her expression unreadable. Caleb handed over a USB drive. I've been working undercover, he confessed. Victor's embezzlement goes deeper than anyone knew. He siphoned millions from Morgantech accounts, using offshore shell companies linked to Chelsea. Chelsea's eyes widened. You betrayed all of us, Elena said, staring her down. Why? Chelsea's lips trembled. Because I was desperate. Marcus promised me a position if I helped, but Victor, he threatened me. I had no choice. No choice? Elena repeated. You chose greed over family. The courtroom drama climaxed the next day. Victor and Marcus faced serious charges: fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy. Chelsea struck a plea deal in exchange for testimony, and Elena was appointed interim CEO of Morgantech's new parent company, a consolidation of Sullivan Dynamics and Morgantech assets. The news rocked Charlotte's business world, but the real surprise came after the dust settled. Back in her office, Elena received a call from an unknown number. Miss Sullivan, this is Agent Reynolds with the FBI. We've been investigating the shell companies Caleb uncovered. Your cooperation has been instrumental. There's one last matter. Elena's heart raced. We found evidence linking Victor to a shadowy international cartel laundering money through his tech deals. Elena's mind reeled. That Ferrari you drove? The one you crashed? It was targeted because it contained encrypted data Victor was smuggling. Her breath caught. Do you have it? Reynolds asked. Yes, she said. It's secure. Good. Because now you're more than a businesswoman, Miss Sullivan. You're a key witness in dismantling a major criminal enterprise. That night, Elena sat in her penthouse overlooking Charlotte, the city lights shimmering like stars. Thomas joined her, glass of wine in hand. You changed everything, he said. No, Elena replied, eyes fixed on the horizon. I just took back what was mine. Her phone buzzed. A message from Caleb. Ready for the next chapter? Elena smiled, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. Because the biggest twist wasn't just what she'd done, but what she was planning next.